All right, welcome everybody back to another episode of the Big Doug and Carmi Show. Today is a Friday, so we're going inside the command center to help us do that. Welcome my good buddy Michael Phillips back to the show. Michael, how are you?
Hey, great to be here with you, and big time to be here on the verge of the Dallas game.
I know it's a good week to be talking football, that's for sure. The team is 7-4 now, Michael. The state of Pennsylvania was not good to them, but still a lot to be excited about. What has surprised you most about the incredible start to the season?
Man, I mean, look, it's Jayden Daniels. I think we knew he'd be good. I wanted him coming out in the draft class,
Okay.
right? So I'll say that. I won't say I saw this coming. He's been. I love the overreaction, of everybody, and you saw it, Doug. Like, oh, Bo Nix is the best rookie quarterback. Like, Bo Nix had a good game last week. Like, Jayden Daniels is the best rookie quarterback. Everybody settled down. He's been fantastic. He's been so good. He's kept him in games. He threw the Hail Mary. He's been so fun to watch. And there's tons of other stuff, too. Of course, the progress of the defense, the offensive line has absolutely been a surprise. I'm sure we'll dive into all that. But number 5 just accelerated the whole thing. That second game, third game, when I was like, oh, okay, he's got it. Now you can do a lot more things that I don't know that they were counting on being able to do.
I appreciate you said that because I would have asked you your preference heading into the season. What is it that you thought you knew about Jayden that has surprised you?
Yeah, I mean, it's his, I guess, unflappability is the word. You
Mm.
give him the ball with 2 minutes left, end of the half, end of the game. He gets the job done pretty much every time. I mean, that's what's coming out. So I didn't even consider Caleb, right? You knew Caleb was going one, and I think he'll be all right. I think the Bears are a bad organization, and he may need the old change of scenery in a couple of years. But I do think he's got talent. I think the right coach will bring it out of him. I love Jayden's arm. I did coming out. He can make all the throws. He can put it in all the windows. And certainly, I think his first time he did that at the NFL level was the winner in Cincy, where he just put it right in Terry's breadbasket on the run, game on the line. That's kind of both the things, right? We knew the arm was good. And then to make that throw in that moment on national television against Joe Burrow, and we know all the storylines there, that told me, like, okay, nothing's going to get to this kid. And ever since then, I love how aggressive they are at the end of halves. They've stolen a lot of points at the end of halves by being aggressive with timeouts and giving him the ball, letting him go. I love how aggressive they've been, in third and fourth down situations, and the record's been very good there. Big picture, not the last couple of weeks, obviously. In the biggest moments, he seems to be at his very best.
You mentioned aggressiveness, and that has been my favorite part to the early part of the season is Dan Quinn's willingness to be aggressive and keep the foot on the pedal, as they say. You're right. He does more with less at the end of halves to pick up points and yardage. Not something we've seen in Washington in a long time.
No, that's an understatement.
You doing 10 to noon on the radio? How have you found the radio business?
I love the radio business. We overreact every Monday, and then we cool down by Friday. It's perfect. It suits the rhythms of a football season. This is year 2 for me on the
Okay.
Fan in Richmond, 910 the Fan, and it's. I was a writer for a long time. I love being a writer. I'm back to writing locally at a site called the Richmonder, which is
Right.
richmonder.org. I don't do any Commanders writing there, obviously, until they bring training camp back, at least. But the radio's just the things I used to write down, I say, and we have a good chat. And you know this from doing this. It's fun
Sure.
to engage with people and be a little closer to the pulse of the fan base. And I mean, last year was a slog at the end of the year, as many of these years have been. So I think we've all appreciated what this year has meant.
It's been fantastic so far. What was your opinion when they first hired Dan Quinn? You a Dan Quinn guy?
No, I was a Ben Johnson guy.
Yeah.
I wanted young offensive mind. I certainly have come around. I think Dan Quinn's been a very good coach. I have the same fear now I had then, which is, that the offensive coordinator walks and you end up in a cycle of multiple, right? It was the Atlanta problem for Dan when Kyle left the
Yep.
building. things changed very quickly. And if Cliff continues to have success, eventually he will leave the building. I don't think he will this season. But, eventually that'll happen. That'll be a thing they need to address. But watching Mike Macdonald have success in Seattle, that not at the same caliber of success, but in that division, certainly 5-5 with some nice wins, shows Mike Tomlin's success. I think there's still maybe still a place for defensive coaches in this league.
There is, and you're right. That's the only problem, right? Is that you're always worried that you're going to be replacing the offensive coordinator. Let's talk about the offensive coordinator. We talked to a lot of people nationally before the season started that kind of gently laughed at us when they hired Cliff Kingsbury. He's been remarkable. We do the film breakdowns every Tuesday. He's got a lot left in the bag, and I think the last two games, just my opinion, had more to do with Daniels' rib injury that wasn't an injury than it did with some regression of the play calling from Kingsbury. Where are you at with him?
Yeah, and don't forget to throw in those defenses. I really do think Pittsburgh is the best defense in football right now, full stop.
And Philly wouldn't be far behind them.
No. That's a great defense too. And what they did to this offensive line, boy, that didn't. I'm guessing you guys didn't have a great Tuesday either. Watching some of those back. This is Cliff Kingsbury's week, right? This is a referendum week on Cliff Kingsbury. We can shine it, polish it, however we want to. He's looked rough for 2 weeks against very good competition with an injured quarterback, and that's completely excusable. I couldn't agree with you more. And this week he plays the Dallas Cowboys, and Doug, they're not good this year. And he's got 10 days rest, and they've got 5 days rest. And there's really no excuses this weekend to not have a really strong offensive performance. Now, having said that, I think they will. And I think on Monday, everything will be back to normal. If there are warning signs on Cliff Kingsbury that there's a late season fade, we're going to see him on Sunday, right? Sunday's either going to be a good day for Cliff or a bad day for Cliff. It doesn't feel like there's a lot of in between here.
And I have more confidence, I think, maybe with this situation for him, and that you've got guys that are behind him helping in the running back room. Ben Johnson, or Brian Johnson rather, is on there as well. So it feels like some of maybe the stuff that had happened with him in Arizona with the regression, with the guys they have surrounding him coaching wise, Anthony Lynn, that maybe that won't happen as much. The running game's been fantastic.
And Brian Robinson on 10 days rest. I don't think he looked fully himself in Philly. And Dan Quinn and I can argue semantics about hurt and injured and all that. They weren't themselves. Everybody saw it, and it was cold last night in Cleveland. I didn't see either quarterback going for the wrap for the ribs to stay warm, right? So say what you will. I know what I saw out there on the field. But this is the week, right? 10 days rest, really bad team. 10.5-point favorites. And if you love the spread in Vegas and all that stuff, there's only 5 teams that have been double-digit favorites this year, and they've covered every single time, right? When Vegas says you're a double-digit favorite, you're a good football team playing a bad football team. And I really do think the only thing that scares me this weekend, Doug, is I can't find anything to be scared about. I think this is a very favorable matchup.
When's the last time they've been 10.5-point favorites? I'm assuming you have to go back a long time.
I joined the beat in 2012, the RG3 year, and it definitely wasn't that year. I guess maybe the Cousins teams, though. They did play a game in Carolina when the Panthers were bad, but I think that's going to predate me if we find it.
Does the quarterback and the run game and the coaching and all the things we've kind of talked about up till now, does it help alleviate what we felt in the past where, to your point, this is too good to be true, this isn't right, there must be something that will happen against the Cowboys that will wake us all up? It doesn't feel like that this go round.
It's there's that breath of fresh air, and I think beating the Giants twice was honestly really helpful for that, right? Those are the games that these teams have lost in past years. There's a good team, and then a bad Giants team trips them up. You've had those moments where you say, okay, this is a new group, a new era, a new day. You can believe in these guys. The culture's better. The vibes are better across the board, right? Vibes are what does that mean? But I think we all have the sense that after walking through the Dan Snyder wilderness, we have turned the page, and it doesn't mean they're going to win every game. They're going to lose sometimes. This certainly isn't a good enough team to win every game, but it means that they're done with the right. I think the Browns game was the other one, right? There are some teams we have watched in the last 10 years that after a hot start would have lost to Jameis Winston and the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson and all that. It was a Watson game, but whatever it was, they would have lost that game. To not just beat them, but let the quarterback rest in the fourth quarter. That was the statement, like, okay, this is a team you can believe in. They're doing things the right way.
Bobby Wagner's on a 1-year deal. Would you pair him up long-term? Now, how many of these guys do you think get extensions for the years up? Got a bunch of guys on 1-year deals.
Yeah, I don't know that Wagner's in that club. I think he'll probably, and that's because of him, right? He's a guy who's in a spot where he can pick his situation, figure out if he wants to be a coach or whatever. Ertz would be another one where you say, what's Ertz going to do this offseason? I don't entirely know. I don't think any contracts are coming between now and the end of the season. I do think they'll honor Lattimore's. I think they want him here for the duration of his contract, and that was why they traded for him. It's a shame we're not going to get to see him. It sounds like we may not get to see him until after the bye, which is kind of a bummer.
That obviously was a long-term play.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was – and I had hoped that hamstring injury was I'd really like to be traded. My hamstring is acting up. Hamstring. It may actually be a hamstring injury. All right, whatever. I don't know that there's going to be a lot of contracts, but they are so well positioned for this offseason. They really are. And I mean, this is a group that's going to have a lot of money and a lot of people want to come play for them. And I think that's, that's what you want, right? That's the cool stuff is going into free agency and saying, who do we want? And they answer your call and they come visit.
That's a Jayden Daniels thing or a Dan Quinn thing?
I would say probably more Jayden. There's a lot of coaches guys like in the league, and DQ is one of them, absolutely. Yeah. But DQ with Sam Howell, I don't think guys are banging down the door to play here, right? DQ got his guys from Dallas here. They came for him. Mm-hmm. Cleveland Farrell, that's a Adam Peters guy, right? I think the Adam Peters reputation helps as well. At the end of the day, though, guys want to play with Jayden Daniels caliber players. That's just there's so few of them in the league.
Brian Robinson get a second contract from you?
I hate the running back question because I love him. He's one of my absolute favorites. And I'm also, I know the rules here. It's not good business to give a running back a second contract. My gut says Adam Peters won't. It makes me sad though. I like him a lot. He's a tough dude. I want him to hang around, but I also think Adam Peters, I trust him. He's pretty smart. And I know what the numbers say on this.
He didn't do very much missing this offseason. I mean, maybe Clelin Ferrell, but I think that's an injury thing, right? Not like because he doesn't have it left. Dante Fowler's third in the league in sacks right now. He looks like the kid that just came out of Florida. I've been incredibly impressed by him. And of course, Frankie Louvu, I think I go back and forth between whether it's Frankie Louvu or Jeremy Chin as to what the best pickup. And maybe it's not even them. Maybe it's Biotis, who for a team that lives in the shotgun and pistol, there aren't many bad snaps to the quarterback. I think you could argue either three of those. Where are you with some of the moves that he made?
Yeah, Bionis has been, I think you've just got to say, one of the absolute keys to this offensive line resurgence. And I don't mean to take anything away from Cliff or the coaches, they've all done a great job. And Allegretti, I think, has been very good. And I'm very much a Sam Cosmi guy going all the way back. I think he's excellent. So not to take anything away, it's clear that Biotis is playing a huge role in the communication and lining guys up the right way and helping Jayden get where he needs to go. All of that, I think he's absolutely been, if not the biggest free agent signing, maybe the most important.
And earlier you said you don't think they'll do any in-season extensions. That would be unfortunate because I think that Chin has been really good for them.
Yeah, and that's a both ways situation, right?
Yep.
He's probably got the opportunity to shop his services around a little bit as well, and we'll see what happens. But that I Chin and Luvu, I think it's so funny, Doug, that Ron Rivera brought everything that wasn't bolted down in Carolina here, and
Yeah.
then two players show up from Carolina the first year he's gone, and I love them both, and they're both amazing. Luvu though has been so good.
Yes.
Give Luvu whatever contract he wants. I want that guy around for a long time for sure.
Yeah.
Can I derail us for a second?
Yes,
Because I
please.
I have your answer here on last time
Okay.
double digit favorites, and it was more recent than I realized. Week 6, 2017. So this is still Kirk Cousins era. 12-point favorites against the San Francisco 49ers at home, won 26-24. Kirk Cousins era kind of playoff hype train teams against it was CJ Beathard that day for the Niners, if I remember correctly.
Okay.
12-point favorites, only won by 2, but it has happened in my tenure.
How much do you think they'll put the foot on the accelerator against Dallas this week? It's not really a Dan Quinn revenge game. People love the revenge game, but he left out of there nice, right? I mean, he had an opportunity. So this isn't that. He wasn't like scorned by the Cowboys. How aggressive do you think they'll be in this thing, trying to get to 40?
Yeah, I don't think Cleveland was a revenge game, and they got to 40 there, right?
Yeah.
Arizona was a revenge game, and they definitely kept the foot on the gas there. I think they will, and honestly, has nothing to do with Dallas. I think the quicker you get it out of hand, the quicker you get Jayden to the sideline, keep those ribs on ice for another week. Buy him a little more rest time. I think sooner you get Marcus Mariota in the game, the happier everybody is in the end. That's why I think they would be willing to take some chances and go hard, but. Hopefully it's a debate we're having, because I think they're certainly capable of it.
You think this will go down as one of those kind of Jayden Daniel games?
I'd love for him to run for 50 yards, just because what it would say about his health, the O-line, his ability to, be back and bounce back. And not that he needs to win. I don't know that he needs to win. But if he could put up some yardage on the ground, I think a lot of people would feel a lot better about where things stand coming down the stretch.
I have pulled up the underdog here. I thought maybe we'd run through a couple over-unders before we get you out of here.
I love it. Let's do it.
Okay. 218.5 passing yards for Jayden Daniels.
Yeah, give me an over there. Well, I would like to see him run. I think this is still a throwing offense. And we saw so much of the two-back with B-Rob and Eckler, where you can get the ball to Eckler in space. I think they like that conceptually.
42.5 rushing yards for Jayden Daniels.
As much as I'd love for it to be over, I do think it's under. I think they'll protect him as long as they can.
29.5 passing attempts.
Ooh, that's a good one. I think that's a pretty fair line. Give me the under. We'll let B-Rob do the work here on Sunday, but I think that's probably pretty close to the number.
The number for Brian Robinson Jr. is 70.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, and you're going to give Eckler his and give McNichols his, but this offense is at its best when it's B-Rob doing his thing. Give me an over on that one.
I think so too. And to get there, they've got him 16.5 rushing attempts.
Oh, that's a pretty good. I'm just running the numbers mentally here. That's
yards per carry, right?
That's a healthy yards per carry. It's not 5, but it's close. Wow.
Yeah.
All right. I love the faith. I love the confidence. Over. I think if he's going to get to 70, I think he might need more touches than that.
I think you're right. Is he a touchdown scorer?
Yeah, he's a touchdown scorer, because hey, look, I love Cliff Kingsbury. Quit letting Jayden dive in for those. You have a guy for that.
I agree. Let's hear it. It's 66.5 receiving yards for CeeDee Lamb.
Ooh, boy, I'd love to know the matchups there, right? Because I think
they're going to move him. They move him around a lot.
They do, and I think that maybe plays into an under. I think they're going to try to get some guys in favorable matchups, but I don't know if Lamb is that guy, and I don't know if he's that matchup.
4.5 receptions for Terry McLaurin.
Over. They're gonna force feed him if they need to. He's their guy.
So it's 58.5 receiving yards
For Terry.
Yeah.
That might be an under if Dallas decides to contain him and they have to feed him with screen passes and stuff. But you'll never catch me. You'll never catch me going under on a Terry McLaurin prop. Wouldn't be me.
That's right. 49.5 all-purpose yards for Austin Eckler.
Oh, I like that. I think that's another guy who's going to need to have a role here if they do it. He was. I mean, he may have had 49 receiving yards the other day. I'm going to go under because I think McNichols is going to play a role here too.
And that's because you think they'll be up big, and we're going to look at a Brown situation?
I hope so. But I think McNichols will get some snaps regardless.
208.5 passing yards for Cooper Rush.
This is always a tough one because, I'm very clearly projecting a Commander's win here, right? That creates garbage time and throwing opportunities. So give me an over on that. Just on on the second half alone.
Do you think just on the side, whenever it is that they get Lattimore back, how do you think the quarterback room shakes out then?
Yeah, because I think you want him to be the number one eventually, right? I don't know how you get him there, how quickly that is. I also think San Ristel's been really good outside, and Ignagi's been really good inside. I hate to disrupt that whole room for a guy who's got a tender hamstring and is jumping in week 14. My gut says everything stays. They don't shuffle San Ristel back inside. That you have some kind of rotation with the three of them where they're all playing 60 to 70% of the game. I think that probably accounts for the realities of what Lattimore's health is going to be. But if you're asking about next year's cornerback room, if they like what they see from Lattimore, that's a very different looking room.
Yeah, because they want to get Sainristil back inside
eventually. I just don't know, because if you do it at your first opportunity, Lattimore tweaks the hammy. You're playing this weird roulette game in week 15, 16. Right. I don't know that suits anybody well, especially a rookie who's already had a lot of juggling going on.
Is Austin Cyber going to play, do you think?
It sounds like it. Yeah, I'm I don't have any inside info on the kicker, but everything I'm hearing sounds pretty positive there.
It's over under 1.5 field goals
for Cyber.
Yep.
I would love to see red zone success this week. I would love for that number to be under, not because they don't score, but because they punch it in the red zone instead of settling for those.
It's a 10.5-point favorite. What do you think the game ends up looking like? I'm
laying the points. I absolutely am. I may eat these words. Yeah, me back next week. I can do. Oh yeah, I don't know what I was thinking. There's very few times I've felt this good about an opponent on the matchup and the team and the rest. I like everything about this. I still think Jayden Daniels is hurt. That's my only caveat there. I think even if Jayden Daniels is still hurt, which I think he is, I still think they match up really favorably in this one.
You like them to get something like 40-10? I mean, what do you think the final score looks like?
Give me 31-14, right? A gentleman's blowout, that's
yes. up the whole way, but give up some points late. Are either of the D tackles back next year? John Payne or John Allen, do you think?
I don't think Allen is. The question you've got to ask is, do you extend him or trade him, right? Because there's value there either way, potentially. Do you want him to be a part of the next 3 or 4 of these? That's a tough question. Everybody in that building does like, that they like what he brings to the table. They like the motor. They like the athleticism. Does that mean you want 3 to 4 more years of that? I don't think that's the direction Peters is building this team. Daron Payne, I think, got unfairly lumped in with Allen the first 5 weeks in terms of underperforming. I think he is a big-time run stopper. It will never show on the stat sheet, but I always want a dude like that on my team.
He's got a nasty side to him, and when he's right, he's one of the better D tackles in the league, I think.
I completely agree with you.
Michael, thank you so much, buddy. This was great. Appreciate you.
Absolutely. Catch you next time.
All right.